that would help him imagine a place he had not yet been to. So he was given 4 monsters. The first monster was a fearsome lion with wings. The second monster was a great big bear. The third monster was a leopard with wings and 4 heads. And the final monster was the most fearsome of them all. He had metal teeth and huge horns. Now God was giving Daniel these monsters, not because these monsters were real, but they were pictures of what would one day happen. Each of them represented an army who would sweep through Daniel's land and take charge. Each monster represented another king who would take charge and remove freedom. Each monster was another empire who would be in charge. Daniel was shown 4 monsters and was told these are the 4 empires who will take away God's people's freedom. Daniel left feeling terrible. If you told me we were going to have 4 armies sweep through and take charge one after the other, I would feel terrible. Now there are some people, brothers and sisters around the world, who do expect an army to take charge, who have had their freedom taken away, who do go to bed afraid. But probably in our country at the moment, that's not our story. What are the monsters in our lives? What is it that we go to bed worried about? Is it the kid in our class who is always saying the mean thing to us? Is it the colleague at work who would love us to be less honest? Is it someone we like so much who just wishes we'd be a bit less Christian? What is the monster the devil places in our lives that makes us want to say, where is God? I was told he cared. I was told he was in charge. The book of Daniel says it, but right now, it doesn't feel like it. So in this story, after the 4 monsters came, we see God sat on a flaming throne, surrounded by millions of angels. And the monsters, they just get flicked away. In the vision, God won. The monsters lose. And that will always be the story. But I want you to listen out for what happens next. What happens after the monsters are beaten? Imogen is going to help us now as we listen carefully. Listen out for what happens next. Or even better, who happens next.
Daniel chapter 7, verses 13 and 14. In my vision at night I looked. There in front of me was someone who looked like a human being. He was coming with clouds in the sky. He came near God, who has been alive forever, and he was led to God. The one who looked like a human being was given the power to rule. He was also given glory and royal power. All peoples, nations, and men who spoke every language will serve him. His rule will last forever. His kingdom will never be destroyed.
Thanks, Imogen. In my vision at night, I looked, and there in front of me was someone who looked like a human being. There you go. I'm giving you a vision. Someone who looks like a human being. Best I could do. Then we read on. He was coming with clouds in the sky. He came near God, who had been alive forever, and he was led to God. You know what's happening here? This one who looks like a human is coming up to the throne of God. This is hard to understand. Ready? Daniel was being shown what would happen in 600 years' time when Jesus would die, rise again, and go back to his Father in heaven. We are looking back 2,000 years to what has now happened. Jesus has risen again. He has gone back to the Father. We're seeing here the bit we didn't get to see in the Bible, where Jesus arrives in the throne room and God says, welcome back. You have done everything I asked of you. If you've got a long journey back from Eastbourne, there's plenty to talk about. If you live in Eastbourne, this next bit's much easier to understand. So, where we've got to, we read up, the one who looked like a human being was given the power to rule. He was also given glory and royal power. He was given the power to rule. He was given royal power. Welcome to my visual aid, high budget. 1 week from now, I've arranged the best visual aid you'll ever need for this moment. 1 week from now, I have asked Charles to be crowned. This is my low budget version. I've arranged something much better for 1 week from now. Low budget. 1 week from now, I need you to turn down the volume. As Charles is being crowned, I want you to say to one another, this is royal power being given to the king. And this royal power is going to be this much. It's going to be British royal power. It's going to be the kind of power where you get red carpets. It's going to be the kind of power where you get a name on a coin and a picture of your head with your haircut. And it's the kind of royal power where one word of the national anthem gets changed. You are going to turn down the volume and say, this is just a low budget version of what happened when Jesus entered heaven. When he was given all power. When he was put in charge of the world, the universe, the galaxies, everything, every moment was placed in his power. It's going to be a good visual aid, nothing more. We read on. All peoples, nations and men who spoke every language will serve him. You and I have been given to the King to serve him. And we come from every nation and every culture and every language. So as Christians, we celebrate that we are brothers and sisters in the best family. We value other nations, nationalities, cultures, languages. And let me tell you, if you have been ever made to feel less precious or less valuable because of your accent, your language, the colour of your skin, I am really sorry. Because we are the same, priceless, because the same Jesus gave his life for us. We are brothers and sisters. We come from the best family that represents all peoples. Jesus the King sits over all the world and he draws to himself people from every colour and culture. Finally, we read, his rule will last forever. His kingdom will never be destroyed. Jesus is not just for Bible by the beach. Jesus is not just for church. Jesus is not even just for your home. Jesus is for every second of every moment of everywhere you go. And that is a comfort. I want us to see we have a king who has been given all rule. We have a king who rules over all peoples and draws for himself the best family. And we have a king for whom the time, no matter where we are and where we go now, he will still rule. Do you know a long time ago when they first started mining, the way it worked? Here we go, John, that's it, John's ready. They put ropes around themselves, okay? So that when you go down a hole and when you go down a cave, you're attached, okay? So the idea was that no matter how far you go, you can feel it's tight. You know you're safe. You're stumbling around in the dark, and this is always there. If you trip over, if you fall down a hole, you've got someone to pull you out. It means that wherever you go down the hole, you've got someone who's got your back. This picture we have been given from God to Daniel is like this rope. The kid who always says the mean thing to you in class. Do you really think you're worried about that kid's words? Look who's got you. If you're being told to lie a bit more at work, you're nervous about the person you're talking to. Have they got any idea who stands behind you? And let me also say, whatever the monster is, however intimidated you feel, the person who wishes you're a bit less Christian, do they know why you're so Christian? Could you be the one to say, you can have this too? If you're a parent here today, parenting feels like you're holding the rope. Well done, parents, you're holding the rope. Please know, you parent for the day you're not on the end of the rope. You parent for the day you don't have them. So let's start today preparing for that day by teaching them who's got the rope. Who is the massive guy at the back of the tug of war? The immovable object with a rope wrapped around him 6 times, who doesn't go to sleep on the job and can actually drink tea while the other team are pulling. Jesus is the immovable object who has got our kids so that we are totally safe.
Amen.
Children, we're going to pray now to the King who goes with you from Bible by the beach, who has got you and will never let you go. Can you show me your fingers? You have done brilliantly. Thank you for not heckling. I only mentioned that at the end as a possibility. Let's clap together.